Hello, everyone. Good to see you today on the show. We're going to have an exciting hour and a half, I think, with Pedja Savovic. Pedja has been a friend of mine for the long 30 years plus. We have a long history together. And the show today is going to be about talking to ex-pro athletes about their life and also the life after sports. I have a big passion for that. I know you do too. And you're one of the unique people that played, graduated, played pro, and did all the great things. But I would like to start, Pedja, with you. You grew up in Montenegro during a period of big changes in the region. How did that environment shape your mindset as a young athlete? And talk to me about that. How did you get to your dream? Playing in the NBA one day.
Yeah. Thanks, Nash, for inviting me. It's a pleasure. And always, happy to share at least my experience as a former athlete, student athlete, professional athlete, turned into what I am today, entrepreneur and as well as a business person. Going back to your question, you went through something very similar. Actually, we met each other in that turbulent times in
1994.
Balkan, 1994. That's correct. When 2 years into the war, which lasted 4 years. So in the middle of the war, and as you remember, it was a terrible situation. So how did it shape me? As it shaped you. It shaped all of us there. There was no plan B. There was, sports was something that I practiced just to get a sense of normality, sense of belonging, in the teams I played for, Primorje Herceg-Novi. Then I went to Partizan Belgrade.
One of the best teams in Europe.
One of the best teams. The year before they won.
I was in Red Star, you were in Partizan.
You were in the Red Star, yes. I will always remember games we played as juniors there. So it was an escape from that turbulent times, from that obscure times, which shaped us because we knew that if this is something they can take us out of that situation. And it just, persistence and hard work, and that's where it all started, with, at least in my life.
Definitely exciting times, big dreams we all had, and you are the first one to start executing them, because in 1997, you went to the United States and went to play college basketball.
Correct.
Talk to me about that adjustment, coming to the States, playing.
I come from a small town on the coastal region of Montenegro, Herceg-Novi. And just going to Belgrade was a big adjustment. I remember I didn't go anywhere. It was practice, then lunch, then many times I slept because I lived in a hotel. So I would sleep in sofas there for a couple of hours. Then I would go to first team practice and then junior team practice. And that was my life for big part of my basketball life. It was just practice, sleep, eat, repeat. It's literally like that. Afterwards, we'll come back to that, why that was important. So the adjustment to United States was even bigger. It was a jump from, war-torn country coming into this 6-lane highways. Everybody's happy. Nobody's worrying about anything. I remember with Scott Rizzo, the coach that recruited me from Alabama, Birmingham.
I know Scott.
You know Scott very well. Yeah. And we were driving his old Ford Broncos on the highway, and we're eating pizza in a car. So for me, it was like, oh my God, you can drive and eat pizza in the car,
Not recommended, but
Not recommended, but it was cool, So everything was big, huge. And then coming there, we are all humbled. We come from very small place that's war is raging, and I felt God blessed that I had an opportunity to to study college, study university. That was such a big thing for me, and I felt always that I had to do more than anybody else to prove that I belong here. So, and I guess that's something that kind of followed me throughout my life, and many of us that came from that period of time, and that kind of shaped me. That I had to prove more than anybody else that I belong. I think that was the case.
And not only that you belong to the NCAA basketball, it is a cook pressure. It's like you're being cooked. You have to go to school. You got to play well.
It is.
I think you were an All-American. Played extremely well.
It was a long way to get there.
Yeah, talk to me about that pressure. Going to school, playing at a high level.
I'll tell you how it started. I landed there in August, and I didn't speak English, and I barely spoke English. Okay, the TOEFL exam I passed. I still don't know how I did it, but I did it. Okay, it was just here and there on the verge. Yeah. And then I entered the classroom, first day of school, September. I know what date it was, and I'm looking at this auditorium. There's 100 people, professor speaking English with a heavy Alabama accent.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Yeah. So it was pretty tough. And then I memorized. I started memorizing everything. I don't even understand but for the exam for the first trimester, I memorized all the books and everything because many of these things I didn't understand. So I just memorized from memory. I started replying. After third month, start with people talking English, and necessity is the mother of invention, I guess. Yeah. So I had to learn English, and then slowly got accepted, got kind of found my place. Unfortunately, didn't play a lot.
And then you transferred to Hawaii.
Then I transferred to Hawaii, but in the middle ground was Los Angeles. I worked there on a basketball camp with Dana and David Pump.
Yes, we know them.
Yeah,
great people. Yeah,
great people, great friends after so many years. Actually, I'm going to see them probably on Wednesday, by the way. So, I worked with them on those camps. And one night, usually when we would work with the kids as coaches, we will play pickup games after 10 p.m. Kids will go home, and we will until midnight probably we'll play pickup games. Many former NBA players actually were present there. For some reason, I just opened up. There was night was like God-given night for me. Everything I shot came in. Every move I made was perfect. I was on fire. And one of the assistant coaches was there from Hawaii, and they offered me to visit Hawaii, and and I said yeah, and I went to Hawaii 10 days later.
Never came back.
I signed a letter of intent, and I never came back. Yeah. I stayed in Hawaii for 4.5 beautiful years.
Yeah,
but it was, and again, it was work, confidence, persistence, and again, running away from that torn situation, the dark ages that we lived there. That kind of pushed me always ahead, always go.
Just having that excitement because you're in Hawaii and the opportunity. It was
great excitement, but also a fear of failing. What's next? So there is no plan B. It was never plan B. Plan B became once you finish college, you get your degree, that's when I start feeling more comfortable with myself.
We'll come back on the degree you got and everything. But I wanted to ask you a question when you ended up having, I think, All-American 1 year.
Yes, 2 years in a row, actually. Junior as a senior.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was
20 plus points a year, 2 years in a row.
Correct.
You were one of the best players, I think 3 years at least. You were playing
in the Western Atlantic Conference. That's correct.
And then you graduated. I think you went to the NBA camp.
Yes.
How did you end up in the NBA? Denver Nuggets, Wow.
It was when I actually wanted to go to law school. Okay, I was always clear in my mind that education was very important for me. And I'm trying even to my kids to teach them. You might not use that ever in your life, but go those 4 or 5 years through college. It teaches you a lot. It teaches you responsibility, sacrifice, completing tasks, time organization, coordination with people around you, working with different races, with different cultures, with different languages, coexisting with people. Even sports people will come back to that. Even on a higher level, we had to play. For example, in Hawaii, they called us team of United Nations.
Yeah. You had Israeli people.
Yeah, we had Israeli, 2 Lithuanians, 2 Canadians. We had Serbian, Montenegrin guy. I think there was only 2 or 3 Americans, to be honest with you.
It was United Nations.
And it was United Nations team. And, we had to work together. So it was an amazing experience, which kind of marked me as a person as well. not only professional but as a person, and I think it was very important. So when I finished my finance and international business degree in economics, actually I went for 3, but they gave you only 2. They gave you minor economics. I don't know why they told me you cannot get 3 because I went 5 years in college. I signed up for the William Richardson School of Law because I said, okay, it's going to be or the MBA or I go back to law school. And I always dreamt of being in investment business and merger and acquisitions, etc. And I visited Nash. I don't know if you know, but I visited 18 teams in 30 days.
Yeah, I know that 2000.
Yeah, you remember how intensive it was. And the worst workout I had was with the Denver Nuggets. That was my worst workout. Yeah. And but I thought that I belonged. I always wanted to play in the NBA. I mean, one thing was, I never told you this story, but when I left Partizan in '93, they kind of disregarded me as he cannot play,
not talented
enough. Yeah. And they sent me to
can't shoot, and then you ended up being one of the best shooters in the Hawaii.
They called me Savo the Brick. But I really, really wanted to play in the NBA. Yeah. Everybody was telling me, impossible, dude.
Yeah.
Just
for you, no way.
But I said, no. I have athleticism. I have this God-given gift, and now I'm going to work hard. I was never talented. Okay, I was never talented. But I worked between 4 and 6 hours my entire career until my injury, and after that it went down in hours. But I really dedicated all my life for that goal. And when I reached that goal, there was a game against Clippers. Yeah. Never told you this. And we were warming up, and Rebraca came over, and he's looking at me. He's like,
"Is that you?
What are you doing here?" I said. And for me, that was one of these.
Well, look, it's only. I think I read somewhere there's only 4,000 players in the world that ever played or got to the NBA.
4,000 to play 20 plus games.
20 plus games. There's only 4,000
players in 55 years.
And that's a huge accomplishment.
75 years of the NBA.
And
it's one in 1.6 million human beings on the planet. It's very competitive, very. It's achievement. Sometimes we as a former NBA players or professional players, when our careers take the turn, which it did happen to me, that I played only 1 year, 2 summer leagues, you could say it's a failure. Or I played with Skitishvili, and they say, or Milicic, they say, he played 7 years. Oh, he was a bust. What are you talking about?
That's right.
I reflected the other day. I was preparing for this. I said, dude, this is one of the most difficult things to be a part of.
That's right.
On the planet.
Yeah.
It's easier to be a millionaire. It's easier to climb Mount Everest than to play and step your foot on the floor.
And this podcast is about empowering younger people that are athletes. They want to have the career after that, and they're all unbelievable winners. Even if you play college basketball or college football or baseball or track.
Just you being competitive on the college level.
Right.
You are one of the few fortunate, and you should be proud of that fact.
Yeah.
I didn't make it pro. No, but you forged very unique set of skills and mindset which can help you through life. But many times we kind of get into this, it's a disaster. I played only 1 year, which I did feel like that. I really felt bad. I never wanted to talk about NBA. Yeah. And many times, he's a former NBA player. I would never say that because I always felt, I didn't make it. No, I did make it.
I remember you playing against Michael Jordan one game.
I did play against Michael Jordan. And my kids are, proud of that fact. Yeah. And unfortunately, it didn't last long. However, I did continue my career very successfully.
And talk to me about that. You went to Spain. You went to Belgium.
I went to Belgium.
How was that culturally different for you? What was different? What was the same? What was
same? Is that the ball is orange. There are 2 baskets, and you play basketball. Everything else is very different, And what I tried always to do is to pick up the best out of every situation. So in Belgium, I learned French for example. I got injured. I got a terrible injury in Belgium, actually 2 times in that season. I ruptured my muscles, my hamstring and my calves. And from that on, my career just went downward spiral. But, you adjust. The first thing that, when you talk about cultural differences stuff, and it's food and language.
Yeah.
I believe that, and we are social beings, but especially for Balkans, we're really social beings. Yeah. We like to hang out with people. We like to talk. We
like to joke around.
Yeah, joke around.
Yes.
And if, and then, they say like, for you guys, it's easy to learn foreign language. No.
It's not.
We cannot function if we don't speak foreign language, So, but that opens you a door to meet many different people, different environments from different industries and politicians and business people and sports people and all of that kind of comes into play that sooner or later those people start being your friends, you start developing business relation with them, and it helps you in your life after basketball, at least in my case. So it's always good to, mingle with people, be social, and be nice. At the end of the day, being nice is free. I think that sports people generally are nice people. And, we deal with people all the time. You have an arena where you have 20,000 people cheering for you, and you kind of connect with them.
What did you learn about preparation discipline during your time, both in college and later on in the NBA? And how did that help you later on in life?
Yeah, we started, and you remember in Yugoslavia, we had the Yugoslav School of Basketball.
Yes.
It was with Aleksandar Petrovic, which we started. And so it was engraved in our brains that literally, it still resonates with me.
Alexander Nikolic.
There is, and Nasser also in Partizan, when he said, guys, when you sleep, there is a guy somewhere in the world working out.
Nasser Trajkovic, by the way, I saw him in LA. I saw him in LA last year.
He doesn't know that he left big mark on me as Aleksandar Džikić as well.
Nasser. Yeah.
Yes, so that's something that we were engraved at a very young age, at the age of 16, 17, that hard work pays off. Yeah. I've seen much more talented people than myself that didn't work hard. That one of them will work out with the watch, and if it will ring 8 o'clock, he will just run to the.
And by the way, those coaches, late Fikus, who also developed Stojakovic and other players, Nasser Trajkovic,
Aleksandar Džikić, yes.
All of those coaches, I don't think they get enough credit about how many players they developed. And I'll tell you something, when they talked about Michael Jordan. And for our, obviously, audience, most of our audience in the United States, they're always talking about late Dean Smith, University of North Carolina, head coach. And they talk about Phil Jackson and how it was a different thing, because to create Michael Jordan was Dean Smith.
Yes.
Right? Really, who created that guy to become the player it is. And then Phil Jackson obviously helped him win championship. It was a different thing, To
coordinate those stars, it's not easy task.
No.
But so that there are people that forge us that are quiet forgers, and probably don't get that much credit because people like myself, we don't probably thank them too much publicly. So
and by the way, Džikić almost won. I think he was in semifinals.
Correct.
With Georgia.
Yeah, with Georgia, yes. Yeah. Great coach, great person and great coach. And that's how we were forged to work hard, And I was an example of a person that comes from Primorje Herceg-Novi, a 15,000 town in the Montenegrin coast, to sign a 3-year contract as a free agent and become All-American in the United States in basketball 12 years later. It can be done, and talent is not all there is to it. And I always remember the 10,000 hours rule in the book Outliers, that
1,000 men and women hours. To be a professional, you need that.
Professional, unique.
In our business, the same, right? You got to spend 4 or 5 years before you become a financial professional.
To the business, and I can relate to my business afterwards. To become successful in a family office business, or
we'll get to that.
Successful in a banking lending business on a real estate side. You need years to learn that trade.
And you talk to me always about late Kobe Bryant and how he inspired you. And,
yes.
Lesson
you will think that you work hard and you're dedicated. And then I had a opportunity and fortunate enough to meet him and see him on the spot. Before the game, I would think, I'm going 1 hour before the game to work out. And dude was just sweating before the game, God knows how long before.
Before everybody else.
Yes. And then I, sat down and I didn't practice. I wanted to see what he does. Basics. Basics, getting ready, preparing, mind.
Everybody wants to be advanced, but to become great at anything, you got to be great at basics.
And this is something I learned also then through business side, the system. You have to have a system. And then once you have the system, you can permit yourself to mingle a little off the mark, left or right, to be creative.
Yes.
You have to create a system. That's why you need time. That's why you need energy. That's why you need persistence. You need to chew up that system because that's the only way you can work.
I want to bring you back when you were talking about going to school, trying to either go to law school or go to the MBA, because we're trying to also empower these young athletes now that are thinking about, where they're going to go. And where did you get that from? How did you juggle all of these things to be really good in the school and good in the basketball arena? And how was that process in your head?
As I said, I had very clear objective. Like when you have clear objectives or what your desires are or your dreams or your goals, it's easier to navigate, It's like when you're on the ship in a Northern Star. You know where you go. If you don't have that clear in anything you do in life, it's very hard to move forward. Because if that mark is always moving left or right, up and down, you can't.
Is that the reason, Pedja, that a lot of athletes, when they finish playing careers, they just lose that North Star?
Yes. And this is something many people don't talk about. I'm very open about it, going through depressions and,
Can you talk to us about it? Because nobody wants to talk about
it. We spoke about it off the record, as friends. When you finish playing, at least in my experience, and a few friends of mine, foreign sports people, we go through a phase where we don't belong, where we don't have that Northern Star. We don't, you made it to the NBA, you made it to the Olympics. Some of my friends made it to as world champions in basketball, soccer. And then there is this emptiness. There is this not belonging. There is this, okay, what do I do now? Yeah. So I absolutely agree with you. Not having that North Star, not having that focal point affects us a lot. And then we start, losing, excuse my French, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when I went through depression for a few years, went to counseling, went to struggle with it. It was hard. Even though I had my 2 college degrees, I had a decent career in basketball.
You had the money.
I had the money.
That's right.
Beautiful family.
Yeah.
Support from but I was lost. I even had a good job. I transitioned very quickly into the sports
management.
Sport management. I became a president and the CEO of the club I played for in the ACB, which was the second best league in the world. But there was no, I couldn't find that spark.
The vision just wasn't there. Clarity wasn't there.
And that's something I think that we lose, and it's very hard for many players to find. Okay, people think that you made money. Money is no. It doesn't have anything to do with money. It doesn't have anything to do with money. It has to do with your purpose in life.
That's right.
And that's what we lose, because when we play basketball, we have purpose. I wake up and I'm in control. I knew that if I practice 4 to 6 hours every day and I rest 2 weeks in August, I will make it. Why? Because that journey is just...
Because you're prepared.
I'm prepared.
And in life, you're just not prepared.
You just drop down. And then there is another thing. We are, in a way, egomaniacs, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, we have that, you have...
You went to the NBA against all the odds. Everybody was telling you,
of course, your ego goes up, and you are, I'm on top of the world, and then you play in the ACB, and I remember the last game in Bilbao. It was like 15 minutes standing ovations. Yeah. Savo. Beautiful, but then the next day, that's it. It's all gone.
Like all of us,
it's
regular
all gone.
guy.
It's a regular Joe. Minus 10 regular Joe, because I don't know how to pay taxes, how to pay my electricity bill.
Yeah, because somebody was doing that for you.
Money management and stuff. And I studied finance.
That's right.
We can talk about that, my bad investments.
Yes, we'll get there. We'll get there.
So going back to your point, I think I agree with you that North Star, let's use that reference. Because when you have it, it doesn't matter how the ocean is, how hard it is to navigate, you have it. If you don't have it, you don't know where you go. And I think it's in business and life.
Absolutely. And we can talk about there's plenty of athletes in the United States, in Balkans,
yes.
If they don't go to coaching or sports management, a lot of them are lost. Or they don't end up building what they're supposed to be building. I think it's a late preparation. I think they are completely unprepared for the business after. And I don't think they get their coaching while they're playing. I think while you're playing, either in college or the pro leagues, you got to start thinking about what is going to be your next step.
I totally agree. I absolutely agree with you. And we are in finance business.
That's right.
Both of us. And money management and family office business. And so there is a big lack of education, financial education. That's the first thing. Okay. Second thing is we need to, as a sports people, learn about financial health. Your financial health is your mental health, or your legal health, or your physical health.
Yeah.
So the big difference which I experienced on my own skin. I'm a sports guy. I know. I deal with my agent. I deal with my family member. But man, when you get sick, you have this lump on your neck.
Yeah.
You don't go to your dad or your agent.
You go to a professional.
You go to best oncologist there is to see what's going on.
What's wrong with you?
Now the problem is that we don't do that when we are young and we are prosperous and we start making lots of money early in our lives.
Yeah.
That somebody take that and guide us how to be well prepared and how to manage this financial health as well. But that comes to the education. And I think that colleges can do a lot about it, especially now with NIL agreements.
A lot of money are coming in.
Lots of money coming in. Yeah. They're very young, 18, 19, 20 years old. So that's one part. The professional teams and leagues also can do much more. Because, when that's another thing. You make millions, then you don't make nothing.
Yeah.
If you did not take care of that earlier in your career, which many did, which are good examples, you're going to struggle. On the top of the losing your North Star or losing your sense of belonging.
You have survival issues.
You're going to have literally survival issues.
I was reading somewhere, I think 70-80% of the NFL players and basketball players are filing bankruptcy, or they're out of the money 5 years after they leave in the league.
Yes. It should be, in a way, mandatory for professional teams or leagues to take care of that problem, Yeah. And I don't know what it would be, the way that there are deferred payments, there are funds to be created, professional firms that are, taking care of them, because I don't need a friend, For my financial situation, I don't need a friend.
No, and
I need professional.
And think about a lot of these folks and a lot of these players made $100 million in their career, but half of it goes to taxes.
Correct.
And then 4 or 5% goes to the agents. And then they have 10 years of life where they're spending $1 million to $2 million a year at ease.
And they have family to think about. They have a legacy
family
to leave after that.
They buy one house, two houses if they change teams.
Correct.
Think about it. $100 million all of a sudden goes down to 50 minus 5%, 45 minus 2 homes, minus $20 million that they spend out. and they put some money towards retirement, which is mandatory for a lot of these leagues. I mean, they got $5-10 million left, and they do 1 or 2 bad investments, and where's the money?
Gone.
100 million. Let alone most of these people don't make 100 million, right? You didn't make that much,
Not that much, but and I was a victim I was a victim of fraud.
Can you please talk to us about that?
Yeah,
because this whole podcast is about sharing what's really happening out there.
14, 15 of us in 2007. There was a friend of ours on the team. He had a friend who created a fund to support the development of some commercial spaces in Barcelona.
Yeah.
And they said the guaranteed, I think 14% or 12% per annum.
Wow.
All right, that sounds great. We're like, because we as sports people, we move on trust.
Yeah.
I didn't read that contract. I did, Yeah. All right, first year, on the paper, that looks good.
$1 million,
like, hey, leave it,
Reinvest it.
Leave it. Third year, I want to get out.
Ponzi scheme.
No, the guy doesn't pick up the phone. There's this lady answering the phone.
Yeah.
The guy left for Brazil. He took lots of money with him. Lots of money.
Yeah.
Then I went hired a lawyer, and then the lawyer took the contract and said, well, you're last in line. Then I learned through my later business, the first charge, the second charge, how that goes with the bank and who.
Yeah. And that happened to so many people. That happens to so many people. I think in the United States, a lot of times their friends, family members, they're opening the music studios, or they're opening some businesses or restaurants or...
It's a science in itself. Running businesses and creating business and being in business, it's all different arena than sports. You can be very good in sports, but you need someone to assist you, to guide you.
And I think also the thing you talked about, they were beating the odds all of their life. They were winning 1 against 1,000, 1 against
you
1 million.
Feel empowered.
You feel empowered, then you finish the career, and then you're kind of telling yourself, I can do it. Yeah, I'm 1 in 1,000.
I can go in the stock market. Do you know how much money I lost in stock market? Because I thought that I'm a stock market guy. I studied that. I know how to do it. No, it's not. You need, I hoped only one thing. Somebody asked me, what would you have done better earlier in your life? Yes. I said, I would have stayed with my money manager from the United States, Dan Fossetta, for the rest of my life. Not only 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then I thought, I can do this. No, you cannot. If Dan was around, he's probably going to be listening to this. Yeah. I would be in a very different financial situation now. Much different, much better. Yeah. Not bad. I pulled out of it. I, worked hard to get back on my feet.
You bought real estate.
Yeah, bought real estate, got in, and I'm okay. But it could have been much better. So it does happen a lot.
It's always what's possible. What was possible for you versus where you arrived. The possibilities were different had you been staying with them.
But I was fortunate in life. I went back to school after I finished playing, did my executive education, did my couple of programs in INSEAD, France, in Fontainebleau, and also in Boston College for sustainable management, for corporate management, and, learn the trades because you need to learn.
So talk to me about that. I know you were working in London after the sports management, family office as well in Spain, real estate, obviously.
Yes,
you've been doing consulting. Even you've been my consultant and helping me on some of the consulting work that we do together. But take us through your path and what you've been doing and how you've been making impact now after the sports arena.
After I played sports, it was natural transition at the time for me to stay at the club where I played, which was Bilbao Basket, and become marketing manager. I was selling tickets my first year. Literally, I was drawing, tickets.
Trying to get.
But half a year before my retirement, I started reading sports management books. There was no colleges. I would have gone to the class or go to University of Deusto or any other university in Bilbao, but there were none offered. So I read the books. And I started, preparing myself, reading, start applying some of the things that I learned, You don't really have to invent the wheel. You just kind of find somewhere and apply it. And we started doing very good things in Bilbao, And then 2 years after that, I became the CEO and the president of the club. And, felt good. Felt good. Still missed that belonging and what is in the long run. I always knew that me being and working in this environment was not something on the long haul. It was something that I, like many other players, let me stick with the club where I played. I feel secured here. Yeah. You know,
a lot of ex-players staying with the club.
Yes, so I'll be a coach. But that's the false security. And I realized that when I stopped doing that, 2016. You know, I left. I went to London, packed up my things, took my wife and the kids to London. We settled there with my partner, with Spale. We opened a flower business and chocolate business, and we started from zero. And grind, 4 a.m., you know, till 2 a.m. Like we slept 2 hours. Yeah. I'm exaggerating, but it was hard work. And then you realize that, okay, there is so much more to the world than just being, you know, encapsulated in that sports side. And then I got introduced in the family office business and lending through the Bridge Capital. Learned about, fell in love in real estate, fell in love in family office business, which I've been involved ever since. You know, so
that's great.
And I learned a lot. And through this business, you know, you meet different people, different kind of businesses. You realize how everything is based on hard work, good preparation, system, and teamwork. And one thing in Hawaii I always like to tell people when they say, what was the turning point that you realized that you're a team player? Well, Coach Wallace in Hawaii, when I came, you know, I just got out of the red shirt and I'm a star. You know me, how I was like, you know, I
can crush everyone. Yeah.
I crush everyone. I go through the wall. But I didn't realize until that exact day, that I am not a singular, most important unit that can do everything alone. In my head, I always thought that I can do it by myself.
How did he coach you?
What did he do? This is what
he
did. He did very simple thing which stayed with me for the rest of my life. I didn't realize I was shooting and making and shooting, and I on the pickup game. You know, he was a referee, and I didn't realize that players just walked. They just didn't, you know. And he stopped. He said, "Pedja, you feeling good today?" Oh, I said, "Yeah, coach. Can you do it? Can you win?" "Oh, yeah, I can win." "You can win. You can. I'll go for it." "Yeah, bring it on. Give me the ball. You know, give it to me. You know, I'll do it." He said, "All right." So he said to the 4 players on the team, said, "Guys, sit down on the floor." And I'm still not realizing what's going on. Yeah. You know, I was like, "All right, you know, I don't need them. I can look." And I took the ball to take it out. I'm on the sidelines now by myself.
There's nobody to take it out.
The ball. I'm still not figuring out what's going on. I'm like, "Hey, coach, I need somebody to pass the ball." And at that moment,
it clicked. You can't do it alone.
He told one guy, Coach Wallace said, "Hey, I think Mike, get up. We inbound." Said, "Hey, coach, I need a pick. Chaim, come over." And that's where there was a very good lesson. Coach Wallace was a psychologist. It was a revelation for me. Then I understood that, you know, everything you do, you need to do it as a part of the group. And I was fortunate enough that in Hawaii, I had an amazing group of people.
Yeah. Me too. Hawaii was amazing.
It was amazing.
Great community, great
community. And we stayed in touch. We helped each other. We laughed. We cried. We had some, you know.
I think we saw Wally. He was your friend, the person you
John
worked
and Jim and his. Jim,
yeah.
It was amazing. So, and you know, and that part of the journey is just amazing, which I'm fortunate that throughout my life I have met people, and I work now with people on different continents, different countries as a consultant in businesses, which is unbelievable. And I'm so grateful and thankful for that. You know,
take me a little bit back. You went through some hard time after the career. You talked about depression. Yes. You talked about the injuries. How did you come out of it? What did you do? Because I want to help these people that are listening. Maybe they're going through the same thing. What did you do?
It was a process, like everything else. I needed to rewire my brain because I was not prepared. Nobody talked about it. Nobody was telling you like, "Oh, when you finish this your career, you might get depressed." Yeah, I think it's a very
so many players
problem.
are because I know a lot of my
very serious problem.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mental health.
Mental
career.
health,
Yeah.
suicides, drinking, drugs. It's divorces. It's a serious problem, but it's not addressed. I don't think it's addressed enough. So there was a lack of education. So I needed to retrain myself. And the worst was my family that suffered because I changed from one person to another. It was not easy. Psychologists help, but just give me the tools, okay? And the major impact was, okay, I'm still young, relatively young. I have time. I need to learn something new. So I start, learning about sports management. Then
Studying.
I start learning about real estate finance. Then I start learning. And then I said, I'll find something which is my purpose. Okay.
Passion for something.
Passion for something. And that's where I find what I do now. I love to work with people, to help them be the best versions of themselves, where I also feel that I belong as a team player.
Yeah, and I love that because
yes,
one of the things that the WestPac became the company it is today is because 40 plus people were ex-athletes, either pro or college basketball. They're amazing individuals, along with the rest of the folks that have not been athletes, but these people that were athletes back in the days, they know how to multitask. They're really enjoying this process. They have a mission. They have the North Star. And we want to empower a lot of these folks to come into the business, athletes for athletes, I like to say for the people that we are recruiting in WestPac.
You have one advantage you have, Nash. We talked about this many times, is that and that's you're right on spot with from athletes to athletes. You are a former athlete.
Yes, college athlete, not like you, but college.
Yes, but you know, and I said there is a slight difference between college athletes because you are one of few.
Yeah.
500,000 of them trying to get there. And there is only 2,500, if I'm not mistaken, is a total number in the college in 3 divisions plus the NAIA. Mm-hmm. So you are, it's a high level competition, okay? You are the elites in the United States at least, and in the world because it's an international sport. So you kind of acquire a very specific set of skills, which this is very interesting now. This is my reflection with my experience. You need a place where they can be kind of like released and they can be put to use. Because and this is where you, I think, are doing great, and your team are doing great job, is to understand how to open up that Pandora's box of all of these sets of skills, which are very unique to student athletes or professional athletes. That can open up and know how to do that, how to bring them to the next level and how to give them that guidance and open them up.
Because I believe athletes are also the perfect people to be entrepreneurs, right?
Absolutely.
Because they have to create, they have to go out there, they are very
curious,
they're curious.
They're hardworking, they understand, they work in a system.
Yeah.
And that's very important. We as a sports people, we are used to work in a system. And when you in that system, your independent creativity comes to play as well. You cannot build a business starting being creative all the time. Because where do you start?
You need discipline, you need system and process.
System. Yeah. It's the same in your business. It's the same in a family office business. It's the same in a real estate finance business when you do lending or you're looking to invest in real estate like we're doing now.
Look, I say athletes are not for 8 to 5 type of jobs. They have to be put in the right system, but they want to also go out there and compete and be the best version of themselves.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely.
And that's why I think we both think being in financial services is probably the right thing for them.
Correct, because you kind of, in a way, I feel that in a way you give back as well, because you help those people to open the next level of their advancements as a human being, as a person, but also as a professional. And financial services is great. You're just changing the arena. I love this situation where you helping other people to reach this financial health, and you help them because they also, especially for WestPac, it's we talk about it a lot. It's the business owners.
That's right. Okay,
so business owner is an expert in what he does.
That's right.
And he dedicated his entire life to his business. All of his doing and all of his persona is in that business. So he's good in building this cup.
Yeah.
But everything else is just distraction for him. So you helping them on that financial health, the way that WestPac does, it's a big achievement when it fulfills you as a person, that you help those people, help their kids, help their legacy to be created, you know?
Pedja, let's talk a little bit about leadership. That's passion of mine. I think leadership, unfortunately, when you look at the global world today, there's less and less leaders everywhere. I think leadership is helping people go to a place where they're afraid to go by themselves, you know, or help them find the best version of themselves. You've been in the team and being, especially in the team sport, you know, there's people that are leaders on the team, and you are one of the leaders on the team. Can you talk a little about leadership in business and that whole transition you went through and how it helped you being a leader on the team later on, helps you become?
We talk about leadership, you're right. And it's leadership. One thing I learned in Hawaii, again, coming back, because we were one of the pioneering teams, I think, in the entire sports, that were applying a certain set of rules and practices with a couple of psychologists that worked with us for 24 months. The result was obvious, by the way. Everything can be written in the Rainbow Circle of Excellence. Riley Wallace wrote that book with DeAndre and Julie, I believe is the name, but I will be mistaking the name. Where we went from the season of 7-24 to 24-6. Yeah. So the big part of that is that they were teaching us leadership and teamwork, you know, and so it can be taught. Another thing I learned during that period of time as a professional and collegiate athlete is that the highest level of leadership is not the one that leader is leading himself. But there are many leaders that surge depending on the situation and context. Yeah. And that's something that stuck with me, like, wow, you don't have to be a continuous leader or be entitled to it.
That's right.
But you as a supreme leader, let's call it, which is not the great word, but as a leader, as a given leader, that you can teach your team that other leaders come out at certain periods of time to take over that leadership role because they're good at it, good at the critical moments, in a panic situation, in a situation of lots of turmoil, for example, somebody else will rise up and take that pressure a little. So that's what I learned, that it's not only one leader. The best is when you have a team where there are certain people coming up every once in a while fulfilling that role. And that's something that's was very important for me. And places I worked with and places where I formed part with as a player and later as a businessman is that trying to empower people for them to be leaders, you know, because you know, if you're a leader and then something happens, there should be kind of like a transition that people, you know, it doesn't stop. You know, that's something that for me was very important to learn as far as leadership goes.
You mentioned earlier in your conversation when you finished playing, you talked about your ego and how it kind of didn't help you when it came to your next career because you had such a confidence that you can do whatever you thought you were going to do. How did that change over the course of the last 15 years? And how did you get to the point? You always had high level. You always had high level of emotional intelligence, and you were always had that in you when you were able to build relationships and maintain relationships. But how did you dial down your ego or make that ego to be a healthy one? What is the process you went through?
Time puts you in place. Situations puts you in place.
Situation is the boss. Huh?
Yeah, it's we are all expendable, and then I guess it comes with the age as well.
Yeah.
You know, start appreciating different things. Somebody asked, like, what do you consider as a success? How many points? How much money you made? No.
Yeah.
No, it's my thinking now is how many people I touched directly and helped them being better or being more developed.
So that's your success.
This is something that
today.
I feel, how many people I met that tomorrow we can literally have a beer and have a good, empowering and solid conversation, deeper than how was your day, how much money you made, or where are we going to go this summer, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of changed me, because you realize there is so much to it, through that journey, you know? And if you think that you as an ego, do you think that you are God-given person in the room, it's wrong. There is, you know, I always use the joke, like there is always a bigger boat in marina.
So you have a thought process that your thoughts that the journey is what matters, right?
The journey matters. For me now, it's journey. Before it was lots of results, all the, you know, let's set the result, and we need them obviously for many reasons. But that journey is what, you know, makes you happy, makes you that you belong, makes you that you have sense of purpose, you know, because sometimes we can give 100%, Nash, and lose the game, and lose the championship. But oh boy, did we have great time during that, and we gave everything. And if we do that, it's just a journey. It's a life journey. We are put on this earth for a certain period of time. Let's make the best out of it. You know, let's help this. Give opportunity to former athletes that are looking for their place under the sun after the career to maybe excel and find a different career and be part of this big family.
Well, part of this podcast is about that. It's really to empower and inspire people to become the best version of themselves.
And not to be afraid. That's another thing. I was afraid lots of years. I always thought that...
Why were you afraid?
I thought that I'm not worth it, that I don't know anything to do. You know, there is this saying like, he's a basketball player.
Yeah.
And that's many years, that's what I think. And I think many sports people think they're sports people. No, that's what we were doing. That's you realize. We are much more than that. Yeah. We are human beings that love excitement, that you know, like to affect lives of people in ways that many can only dream of. Yeah. You know, especially if you're Messi or you know how many.
And by the way, they are going to go into their level also through some of these things, right? Because they have to also find a purpose. Whether you are Messi, whether you are,
they're going to have to find a purpose. All of us need a purpose in life. Yeah. You know,
otherwise it's going to be difficult. And I want to bring you to this question that I think I always ask people, which is, what would you say to your 18 years old self? You know, how would you go? What would you do differently? How would you go through time, through life? And also, what is the advice to some of these folks in college or some of these people in their late 20s, early 30s that are finishing their careers about what's ahead?
Let's go back to the first one. What would I say to my 18 years old? And I did think about it quite a few times, and I think what I'm going to tell you now is a perfectly normal response, that it's a common sense. Many times in life, we just need a little bit of common sense. Not too much. Trust me.
Just a little bit. It's nothing more uncommon than people not having common sense these days.
I know. So I would try to, obviously at 18, you know, to convince myself at 18 years old that take your time, dedicate time, nothing comes overnight. Because as I was growing up in Belgrade, that's one thing that I wanted everything quick. I worked hard, but hey, where is this success? Why am I not playing in Partizan starting 5?
Yeah.
Why am I not in a national team? Why? Oh, I don't like this.
Or I'm not playing in the college.
10,000 hours rule. To get those 10,000 hour rule, it needs to 5 or 6 years. So just time.
Patience.
Just patience, trust the system, and do the best you can. Okay? Yeah. That's all I would, and be more humbled. You know, sometimes we realize that we are expendable when it's too late.
Get the ego in check. Yeah.
You have to check ego. You have to check ego for yourself. You have to check ego for people around you, for your team, because people don't like. I went through that. You know,
yeah.
It's not good.
Pedja, thank you so much. This was so many good advices, and I would urge people that are listening. You know, I always say, just get 3 things that you can apply, lessons maybe from you, from this podcast that they can apply in their own life, you know, because it's always good to learn on your mistakes, but it's better to learn or get advice from other people.
Yes, that's, there are books that actually
Just get
talk
3
about it. But believe yourself, okay? Believe in yourself. And I'll go back again because we're talking about sports people, but in normal people, just don't be afraid. I went bankrupt in my life, and I woke up next morning, and it doesn't hurt, really. It's
okay.
The sun comes out, and then it goes down, and the night comes, and nothing really changes in the grand scheme of things.
Old news becomes old news very quickly.
So as we are part of this beautiful world, just, okay, let's go next step. And then system, plan, make a plan. The worst plan you have is better than no plan at all, okay? Because you have these guidance. You know where you're going, what you're doing, and set your objectives or goals.
Yeah.
Have them there for whatever it is. That every morning to go to my moms and dads and have a coffee with them, or go to the local butcher store and help the butcher to prepare a meat for no payment. That can be your objective. That's fine. It's okay. No problem. Okay?
That's great.
And just believe that when you work hard, things will happen.
Enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the process. Journey is everything. So that process is very important. As I said, you might have an amazing season, but then you drop down in the finals. We as a society, actually, and I'm just going to be philosophical a little, we award and we tell stories only of the successful people. There are amazing stories for people that are not successful.
Yes.
And they're probably going to teach you more than the successful one.
Because you might not be able to multiply that.
Exactly. Yeah. Because the failures, I've never read the book of a failure, in sports. Yeah. That would be a great book to read. The guy that didn't make it.
Yeah. And why?
And that's a great book because you can learn a lot about it from it.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Pedja. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. I've learned a lot about your story that I didn't know, and that was a great thing. I didn't know about a psychology book. That was the news for me today, and some other things you shared. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you get a lot of great stuff, especially those athletes that are thinking about what they're going to do, where they're going to go, and what they're going to do in life. So thank you, Pedja, and thank you for sharing.
Thanks for having me, Nash. And, if
we're excited
I could touch
to
one person with this, I'm happy.
We're going to touch a lot more than one. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.